Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 169 of the Seezus Show. We're back with another fun-filled episode. Hope you guys enjoyed the previous episode, which is episode 168. We discussed NFL wildcard, preview matchups, major awards, firing a Stefanski, firing a Harbaugh, and the latest things that's going on in the NBA as well too. So hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at the Seezus Show. But without further ado, it's going to be a quick episode. We're gonna get straight into it, but before we get straight into it, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my boy, for my day one, for the GOAT himself, Detroit's native, my boy Carl Conyers.
What's good, everybody? What's good, see? Appreciate the intro.
What up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Long days, but starting off the year pretty well, so I can't complain.
Yeah, can't complain whatsoever, man. Just another blessing, just to be alive and you know, just trying to be consistent compared to last year. So I'm looking forward to what else what rest of the month has in store, and then the rest of the year. I'm happy. Shout out to MLK. Most people have that day off. I'm happy to definitely take advantage of that day. One of my cousins I haven't seen since 2021
Mm.
is pulling up with his girlfriend this weekend. I guess they're coming to LA to visit her best friend. It's her best friend's birthday, so he's like, I'll tag along. So I'm excited to see that guy. Y'all doing anything for like college football championship Monday or anything with the playoffs or Super Bowl or anything?
Super Bowl, I think we want to host,
Okay, okay.
so I'll let you know about that. But college, I don't give a fuck about this.
Yeah, I don't.
Honestly, bro, and a lot of people that I know that are really diehard college fans do kind of like it, but I feel like for the casual fan, like it's just made this process way too long. Like I remember New Year's bowls used to be important, and then like it was like the championship was really close to that, and now it just feels like I don't know, it's a lot. It's just kind of too much for me. So I don't even know who's really playing in these games right now.
Yeah, because I hit up T and them because I just don't be seeing niggas like that no more. So I was like, maybe it's something we can do. But like you said, my 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 excitement for college football is like not that high. So we'll see. I think I definitely think Miami losing. So that's all I gotta say about that itself.
Bet.
But let's get into today's hottest topics, man. NFL first round, aka the wild card playoff matchups, are done. What are your biggest takeaways from wild card weekend, Carl Conyers?
Whoa. Sorry. I think for me, one of the biggest things was just how good, like, the vast majority of these games were. Um, it was kind of crazy. I think the first 3 or 4 games were all won by a team that didn't lead. Like at the 3-minute mark of the fourth quarter, they weren't leading. So that was like 3 or 4 games where somebody basically scored like a game-winning touchdown to end the game, which is nuts. And I think they said that that's the most that's ever happened. That ties the most that's ever happened in a single playoffs, and that all happened in one week.
Mm.
Which is just nuts. So yeah, I mean it was really fun. I didn't get to catch all the games, but all the most of the ones that I did catch were great. I think only the Chargers game and the Steelers game were bad. Um, and that's kind of one of my big takeaways. And I know I texted you right after about it, is that boy Justin Herbert is poo, bro. I like he's the definition. I think they be calling him if man because it's like, oh yeah, he has the arm talent, so if only he does that or this, and it's like, and I get it for sure. His offensive line was probably the most banged up out of everybody in the playoffs, but there's been plenty of other star quarterbacks who have had terrible offensive lines in the playoffs in the history of the league, and I need to pull this up, but I bet they don't play as poorly as him.
Mm.
There's I've seen plenty of videos and just things that I saw in the game of guys were like flashing wide open. And, part of that is when you don't get protected, sometimes, guys are quicker to tuck and run and other things like that. But like you have to be able to, that usually also though signals when a quarterback is kind of on his way out. Like if you're seeing ghosts or if you're that scared to throw the ball, and whether that's the organization's fault or your own, it is what it is. And he was just, there's a lot of times where it's like, bro, just throw the ball. You have this guy wide open, or you throwing it to the wrong guy. And at this point, I think this is what his third or fourth playoff game, and he's just
Yeah.
not shown any of the things that people used to talk him up in the regular season. We haven't seen it all in the playoffs. So, at a certain point, it kind of becomes who you are. He's still, of course, young, so there's a chance for him to change the narrative. But as of right now, it's like, he's just kind of the lesser version of what Aaron Rodgers in terms of, Aaron played great in the regular season, but then would come in and not play that great in the postseason. But even then, he still played much better than this. So that's why I say even lesser version.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just kind of crazy to see Justin Herbert continue to just be like ass. That's the thing. It'd be different if he was just bad, but like 3 points in the last game, you have four interceptions, and like they just don't do anything. So that's something that definitely stood out to me. Another thing is just I'm a guy I think that once a guy's been in the league for a while, I kind of do like our legends. Like for instance, is in basketball, but LeBron, I kind of was a little bit of a Bron hater early on, but like the longer he was there and just kept doing great stuff, it's like it just gets harder to hate on them. But Aaron Rodgers, man, I'm honestly happy that he's going to be out of the league. I think that he's probably going to retire, especially now with, we'll talk about it, but Tomlin stepping down. Um, there's just so much hoopla that goes into him and everything that surrounds him, and it hasn't been worth it for like the past 8 years or something like that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Even though I know some of that included probably one or two of those MVP campaigns, but it still led to absolutely nothing in the playoffs. And then, these last couple of years, he just hasn't looked that great in general. But yeah, I mean, he does so many things that are just like very asshole-ish, and it shows even in his play. Like, for instance, okay, DK drops that one pass.
Oh yeah.
He didn't pass to him again for like another quarter or quarter and a half. It's like, bro, you have no receivers on your team. You can't be out here throwing a temper tantrum because your best wide receiver didn't catch the ball. Okay, you know what the greats do? If this was Tom Brady, if this was Patrick Mahomes, they might have gone back to DK in the very next play. But instead, you want to be childish, and these are just the things that like. And I'm seeing former players that played with him talking about this. Where it's
Mm.
like, yeah, if you drop a pass, he's just gonna ice you out for the game, and it's like that's I mean, clearly that's not winning stuff. Like when it comes to the playoffs, those are things you just can't really do. You can't afford to be that petty. So yeah, he did the things that he did and also didn't do the things that he didn't do. But I'm not really mad that he's gonna be gone. And I think the last thing, my big takeaway is we talked about it last week, and we probably talked about it the past couple of weeks, when it came to Caleb Williams of like it's just been really crazy. He's like his completion percentage is terrible. He'll play terrible. And then when all of a sudden it matters, he's just the most clutch person in the league. Like, and he's been doing it for like 8, 9 weeks straight. I know it's crazy because I actually had him on one of my fantasy teams. So I get used to like halftime, I'm checking his stats and it's like, oh, he got like 10 fantasy points or something like that. And then he end the game with like 30 or something like that because he just does a bunch of crazy stuff in the third and fourth quarters. And like he did it again in the playoff game. So and I'm seeing a lot of people talk about, it is really remarkable to play. It's not like he's like bad, like he really plays awful in like these first halves or in these first couple of quarters, and then like he goes from like a D minus to an A plus. It's just like the full range, and like even Josh Allen to me doesn't usually get that low, like it's even more of a spectrum. I know we see a lot of swings with Josh Allen, but like yeah, it's kind of crazy to see it. So I'm interested to see if this is something that's gonna, continue on as we go through these playoffs. Because if so, I mean, with the teams that are left, I feel like anything could happen.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. As far as my takeaway, the former reigning champions, Philadelphia Eagles, definitely underachieved. Arguably the best roster. But with their OC and Jalen Hurts, and shout out to Cam Newton. He's been saying this shit for the whole season before the season even started. Jalen Hurts is not top five. So if you're a Phillies fan, you better not be delusional anymore because obviously you can put some blame on the OC, but at the end of the day, your quarterback has to play kind of like how we talk about Justin Herbert. Your quarterback this quarterback has a bevy of weapons, and you mean to tell me Brock Purdy turns the ball over 2 times and y'all only get 3 points from that? Like, come on, man. So, season in a nutshell, just thrown away. Like I said, the OC already got fired. Jalen Hurts looked like he somewhat, regressed. AJ Brown had his shenanigans. We'll see what happens with him. Um, for them to not even get to the NFC chip and spend all that money is kind of crazy. But the proof is in the pudding with that one. Gotta show some love to Josh Allen. I didn't watch the Jaguars all year, but just watching the Jaguars play, I'm very like excited for their future. I think they're going to be a team that's going to have some stability and continue to make moves and continue to improve as well too. So it's going to be nice to see what they can do next year as well too. So I was very impressed with them. When people kept saying they had the best run defense, I was like, yeah, but sometimes stats for football, especially when you're only playing your divisional opponents twice, and then outside of that, you're playing random teams. Like stats don't always tell the full truth. And then I was looking at the past couple games they played leading up to the playoffs. Most of their schedule was kind of but so I was like, all right, maybe it's kind of like a little effed up. Then when I saw like them shut down James Cook 14 attempts for like 40 yards. Josh couldn't really get anything going, and we had to kind of drop back and get to work. I was like, all right, they're going to be serious. So I guess it would have been nice to kind of have, because they kind of rely too much on their front four, and their secondary isn't necessarily the best. So it kind of would have been good to. I know we were talking about early on in the season with Travis Hunter. Should he play defense or should he play offense? But I think it could have helped if he had some packages there as well too. So I'm excited to see what they do next year. Um, Worried about my Bills. Josh Allen can only be Superman, but for so long, at the end of the day, the deficiencies I think are kind of going to come to haunt us, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we go over our predictions. But having two wide receivers, we've already have one of the weakest wide receiver cores, but to have two of them go down on the same exact day and both tear the
Crazy.
ACL is just kind of crazy. So I'm a little nervous as what's going to happen. Packers, I knew they didn't stand a chance. They could have still won the game as well too, but when you can't get stops defensively, especially as the game progresses and your defense gets worn down, missing those two defensive ends definitely kind of helped with no pressure going to Caleb Williams as well too. So I agree with you as well too. Caleb Williams is a risk taker, gunslinger. He can be inaccurate, just like you said as well too. But for some reason, once he kind of gets out of his head and the game is on the line, like you said, he turns into a Superman as well too. You know what I'm saying? So I see some of from the clutch perspective, not the full game, the clutch perspective. I can see some of the comparisons when they talk about Mahomes as well too. So if he can continue to, get better in the off season, I think Chicago's going to be another playoff, championship contending type of team for years to come as well too. And I kind of agree with you, Justin Herbert. No need to kind of add to. You kind of convinced me as well too. I wanted to throw him a little bit of bail as well too because of because of what's around him. But like you said, at the end of the day, it's like even if you lose, just go out swinging as well too. You know what I'm saying? So I never had him top five, but a lot of people, like you said, do put him in a top five talent perspective. But what I learned kind of from this as well is like you're not in our eyes great anymore. You're good. So we're gonna see what happens next year. And we'll see if they bolster some stuff because I love their defense. Their defense is great. But offensively, he gotta do better. They gotta do better as well too. And then last but not least, I know they played the Steelers yesterday, but the Texans defense is legit. So I'm kind of scared. We're gonna see what happens next week. We're gonna see what happens next week.
They have the
So
best defense in the playoffs for sure.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So moving on from that, we had our top 14 list for remaining quarterbacks in the playoffs. Now we got eight, so there's 8 teams left. What's your top 8 QB list going into the divisional round of the playoffs, man?
All right. So, funny enough, at the back end of my list is the two guys who didn't play this weekend because their teams were so good they had higher seeds. But I think
Okay.
that also is it. Their teams are good. But and also, let me just get to it. Bo Nix and then Sam Darnold are 8 and 7. Um, Knicks we haven't seen in the playoffs. Darnold was in the playoffs last year, wasn't good. So, we'll see. Things could be much different this year. Clearly, the team success is much different this year, but just don't really trust them. And then now, so six, I have Stroud, and that's honestly kind of based on this was terrible. Like this last game that he had was like awful. I think he had like five fumbles plus a pick, which is just nuts, and also shows how terrible the Steelers' offense is. Also for
Yeah,
him,
bro.
for yeah, exactly, for them to still be able to win that game. And of course, I know their defense is good, but like the amount of chances that they were getting because of these mistakes, it's just like that offense couldn't do anything. So yeah, then I have Stroud at six, then I have Purdy at five, May at four, then I have this is kind of a big jump for me, Caleb at three,
Jesus Christ.
and yeah, that's just I mean out of the people here. I I can only just, go off of what I've seen. It's not like,
Yeah.
Purdy has made a Super Bowl, but he doesn't have some insane playoff career. And his last game was just kind of average to me. Drake May just played his first game and it was kind of average to me as well. Um, Caleb just flashed something that he's been doing for now weeks on end. So just at this point, yeah, I have him third. And then Stafford, I have number two. Didn't play amazing, but to me, still didn't play bad enough for me to like trust him any less than any of these other guys. Also, just noted, we don't have any really superstars outside of the next person in the playoffs right now. So um, it's kind of a toss up. But then yeah, Josh Allen, I have him number one.
Mm,
He's been really good, and the postseason in general, like he doesn't really have bad postseason games. He just usually runs into one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time.
yeah.
So yeah, that's my list.
Okay. Ours is a little bit different. I definitely had Sam Darnold last. I put CJ Stroud at seven, because of his performance and what I've seen. Especially when he gets some pressure on him. That boy be flinching, boy. So yeah, I had him at seven, and it's just a testament to, like you said, like the team is so great, he can afford to play like shit. Like that nigga looking like Rex Grossman out there from back in the day. Six, I had Caleb Williams. He did turn on the clutch factor, but I was like, all right, you went up against the Packers, divisional opponent. They were missing, some key players on defense, not to necessarily take away from them, but I'm like, let me see what you do this week when you got a better matchup. So we'll see with that. Five, I got Bo Nix. He had his playoff experience as a rookie last year. He didn't play bad, but he went up against Josh Allen, and now he's going to have a chance to go up against Josh again. Home field advantage, no excuse.
He
Four, I
had
had Brock Purdy. He
144
kind of
yards.
reminded me. What was that?
He had 144 yards.
I mean, yeah, you gotta rewatch the game though. Like you can't just look only at the stats. But for four, I got Brock Purdy. Kind of like what you said with Kalen Williams. Like that team is depleted. He had two turnovers early on, but he was able to score early on in the game, and then he was able to have the ball in his hands before Jalen Hurts and go down the field and score, put them in position to win. And then when Jalen Hurts got the ball back, he didn't do shit. Three, I got Drake May. That was his first game he played, but I guess because of him also being MVP and him kind of getting the jitters out, I think he's gonna have a tough challenge this go around as well too. But I feel like the Steelers and Patriots defense are kind of somewhat similar. So if they're able to force a lot of punts and get some turnovers forced on their end, I think Drake May is going to be much more equipped with his athleticism and Mike Vrabel and their OC to score the football. Two, I agree with you. I had Matthew Stafford as well too. MVP. I think he pretty much kind of solidified that. He started off a little rocky, but like he's great, but it's just like damn. It's kind of like watching from an offensive standpoint Joe Burrow. Like I saw that last drive, it was so easy for him to the team to score, but I'm just like, damn, like it's nice having two number ones, bro. He literally that last drive, except for throwing to that tight end, he threw it to Puka and threw it to Devontae every single play, dog, and just drove it down the field. I'm just like, this is crazy. Like this is what offense should look like. This is what I should be seeing from a team like the Eagles. But fuck them. And number one, Josh, played pretty well. And like I said, he definitely works with less. I was impressed with how they cut off. They stuck to their game plan when they took away the run game, and he was able to still play well. And I was looking at all the players that played this weekend. They have a stat for like average time to throw. He was number one at 2.62 seconds. And funny enough, we talked about Justin Herbert. Part of it is also he's extending the play, had the most time to throw in 3.62 seconds. So to kind of get the ball out of your hands pretty quickly, slice and dice that zone defense, I was pretty impressed with him. So those were our top eight QB lists going into the division round of playoffs as well too. Yeah, I like your list too. So I'm curious to see how Caleb Williams plays this weekend, dog, for sure, man. Um, Moving on from that, Mike Tomlin, brother, has officially stepped down as the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers after 19 seasons. The team announced earlier today. He informed the players of his decision during a team meeting one day after playoff loss to the Houston Texans. Obviously, Tomlin leaves the Steelers with a remarkable legacy, most notably his unprecedented streak of never having a losing season during his 19-year tenure. Obviously, he led the Steelers to a Super Bowl victory and two Super Bowl appearances as well, too. Um, yeah, man, that's pretty much it. The chapter's closed, brother. What are your thoughts on Mike Tomlin's tenure and the future?
I mean, first of all, just like shout out Mike Tomlin. You know, it's already, however you feel about it, in my opinion, it's already tough being a black coach in the NFL. So to be able to be a head coach for 19 straight years. Just like kudos to him because of course you're in a world-class organization. They don't tend to fire coaches quickly, but you do still have to earn it. And from players around the league and other things like that, he was really a player's coach and people liked playing for him. And then the success, of course, outside of the postseason, but the regular season success is just like you said, is unprecedented. The biggest thing that people will use to tear him down is for sure the lack of playoff success following their Super Bowl win. And I think there's like 7 or 8 straight postseason losses for him. But I think my biggest counter is he, for maybe the last 6, 7 years,
Uh-huh.
hasn't had a quarterback.
Yeah.
So that includes probably the last 1 or 2 years of Big Ben when he was not who he was.
Yeah.
That includes Kenny Pickett.
They
Uh,
drafted Kenny Pickett, right?
yeah, they drafted Kenny Pickett. Um, uh,
Mason Rudolph too.
Mason Rudolph. Terrible. Both of them. If you look at their numbers, are terrible, but somehow he still made the playoffs.
That's crazy.
An 80-year-old Russ and another 80-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Like that's the quarterbacks that he's had the last couple of years, and he still managed to have a decent team.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's an accomplishment. And I also think, people look at the point differential when they got into the playoffs because they were getting bust a lot of other times. But to me, that also actually shows that he was getting the most out of his teams during the regular season. Like they were punching above where they really should have. And then when it came down to it, that kind of got exposed. But I think that there is something to be said for guys who can get the most out of players, who can have them play above what their actual talent level is. Um, I think that he's somebody who for sure is going to be really sought after if he decides to go back to coaching. I think by all accounts, it seems like he's probably going to sit out for at least a year before he kind of puts his name in the hat. But no, man, I think it's a very impressive tenure, a very impressive career, things that he's done. I think he's a Hall of Fame coach just off of that, even if he doesn't get
Absolutely.
another job. Um, yeah, I just think very, very tough luck with quarterbacks makes it hard for anybody. Nobody's winning a playoff game with Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. It's just not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he signed until 2027, so he still has 2 years remaining on his contract, so he can take his time if he wants to. But yeah, he can take all the time he needs whenever he's ready. I think he's gonna definitely be a hot candidate like the other two coaches that we kind of talked about as well too. But he definitely has to go into a situation with a starting like you said, starting caliber quarterback, and try to invest in also an updated offensive coordinator as well too, because that's like you said, that's kind of been primarily the only thing that's kind of been holding him back. So legend, also from VA, so I got to show him some love, and yeah, whatever he decides to do moving forward, I'm sure he's going to put himself in a good position as well too. Now moving over to the AFC divisional preview, Carl Conyers, Texans Patriots. Tell me about it. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Pats on this one, just based off of what I saw from CJ Stroud last week. I still think that Texans defense is the best in the playoffs. I mean, it's best in the league, best in the playoffs. But if CJ plays the way he did, the Patriots are not the Steelers. Drake May will capitalize on some of those mistakes and opportunities. So, yeah.
Mm. Yeah, man. I know I ranked Drake May high on the QB list as well too. Most of it was just because a continuation of his regular season success and also finally getting his playoff win this early on in his career. But I flip flopped last minute, my nigga. I ain't gonna lie. I think I got the Texans just because of their defense as well too. I mean, the Chargers defense was great, but like you said, not too long ago, you think the Texans also have the best defense as well too. The Patriots were one of the best offensive teams this year. And pretty much only got held to 16 points to beat the Chargers. So I trust I mean, Herbert and CJ don't play well in the playoffs, but I trust CJ to at least have one drive where he can go down the field and score. And I think their defense will do a good job because the Patriots' offensive line is not necessarily that good. So I think Drake May has faced the Chargers defense, but like I said, this is going to be another challenge for him as well too. So I think he's also going to have some issues as well too, and I think that defense will put them in positions to not only get extra possessions but get good field positioning to settle for points. Whether it's every possession or every other possession. So I think it's going to be another nasty grind out game. But I got like a 17 to 10 game Texans riding high. Bills Broncos, Carl Conyers. Who you got?
Bills. Even though I'm taking the Bills with the caveat that Josh Allen has to have, one of those Superman games because of what we talked about your receiving core. Um, but I just, it's always interesting seeing the team that got the bye because it's like we were just watching these teams so we can give some type of perspective. But this other team has been sitting off for, a week and you just kind of don't know what to expect. But I'm gonna trust Josh Allen over Bo Nix.
Yeah, the thing is, I trust Josh Allen over Bo Nix, but like I said a little bit before, I mean, Josh Allen is one of from a statistical standpoint, is one of the best, postseason performers as well too. But I've just been having struggles watching this team like every single year. Like, I mean, every single week this year. It's like when he's not playing how he played last week, we don't really have a shot. And I think Jaguars are number one in rush defense, and the Broncos are number two. So I'm already having a mindset that, granted, I mean, last year we played them, we kind of ran all over them, but this is a different year. But I feel like they're going to kind of slow us down, and the Jags secondary wasn't as good, so we were able to play. I mean, go up against that zone defense, but you got Pat Surtain and these other boys as well too. So I'm a little nervous on how this is going to kind of pan out. And then, like I said, I know he can turn water into wine, but Gabe Davis going down and then Shavers going down. I'm just like, damn, like I don't know, bro. So I know this is my squad, but I got the Broncos winning, dog. I got the Broncos winning. Um, Going from the AFC to the NFC, Carl Kynes, NFC divisional preview, 49ers, Seahawks, brother. Who you got?
I think I'm gonna go with the Seahawks on this one.
Okay.
Don't really fully trust Darnold, but I think that the Niners also just lost Kittle.
Ah, dog.
Um, they're just like really banged up right now. They're still without Fred Warner and Bosa. And the Seahawks are gonna be fresh. Of course, there's always the what is it, the rest versus rust kind of